What is going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of JB360. It's finally here, guys. We have the Roadrunner V3 frame. Just got this thing powder coated not too long ago, probably about a week ago. It's like this fluorescent neon green color. Big shout out to Easy Powder Coating in Staten Island. They were able to get it done in like a week or something like that. But yeah, it's finished, man, and got the main frame here. Got the swing arm painted as well. And yeah, this thing came out awesome, dude. And it's gonna be like this sort of like neon and black pattern that I'm going with, because the patterns are gonna be like sort of like a gradient black, and then pretty much the rest of the parts are gonna be black. But yeah, I think it looks pretty good. All right, guys, so this is mainly a tutorial video for those of you who are wondering if you're looking to build a V3, a V2, or even a V1, and to some extent even a Roadrunner Pro. This is going to be the tutorial for you, because this is going to be a dual motor setup. We're going to have 5,000 watts in the front, 5,000 watts in the back. I have the motors from my older Roadrunner build that I'm going to be transferring over here, basically kind of swapping over the parts. So the main difference obviously with the V3 is it has suspension. So we have our suspension points over here. And also, we're going to be upgrading the far driver controllers, the dual far driver controllers to 72 450s. So this thing's going to be pumping out a good 400 amps nominal. And yeah, this thing is going to be a bit more powerful than the previous build. So as you guys can see in the background, that is my poor Kodo. That frame is pretty much done. If you guys watched my previous Talaria video, I can't use this frame anymore, so I'm basically kind of transferring over some of the parts from here over to the Roadrunner. So yeah, more on that later. In terms of battery, we have here the one that was actually used on the Kodo. This is the 50 amp hour 72 volt battery. This is it can do about 420 amps continuous, about 530 amps max, but the shape actually fits the inner frame here, so I'm kind of glad that I'm able to reuse this battery for something like this. And in terms of suspension, as I mentioned, that's new for the Roadrunner V3 for 2025. We're actually going to be replacing these, replacing the old stock shocks with these new RFY shocks. These have been recommended. Big shout out to the Facebook group for eMove Roadrunner Academy. So I forget his name, I'll put his name up, but big shout out to you, dude. He found a pretty good alternative for the rear shocks. So I'm going to be using this over here for this suspension point here. In terms of front fork, I have here the, I believe this is the 14-inch one from Econic Cycles. This is compatible with the Roadrunner frame. And as you can see, it's a dual triple tree. And we're going to be installing that in the front. And one more thing before I forget to mention, guys, one thing that's really awesome about this fork, I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's actually a mount here, like a basically a direct stem mount, so you can mount the handlebars directly to the triple tree of the fork. In my opinion, I think it's like more secure in terms of, you know, preventing the handlebar from moving so much or becoming misaligned. I believe this is like the best setup, and I'm kind of glad it does have those mounts there. You actually see those very common in like surron and Talaria forks. As we make our way over here, I'm going to also be installing swing arm extensions. So these extensions are also from Econic. These I kept black because I kind of wanted to do like a two-tone thing in the back. But yeah, that's going to go in the back to kind of extend it. So it's going to extend the swing arm a good 8.5 inches from the original dropout. So yeah, I just kind of wanted improved stability in the back, especially for like takeoff, sort of when you're accelerating off the line. So I'm going to be installing that on the dropouts in the back. In terms of display, I have the Chowji display that's actually compatible with the far driver. So we have the connectors here, as well as the 3D printed mount that goes on the handlebars. In terms of brakes, we have these 4 piston brakes from Ryzen Motor. These are pretty good brakes. These also have the e-brake cutoff adapter on them as well, so you can enable regen. We're also going to be using the stock seat. Ooh, sorry. As you guys can see here, there's actually an area underneath the seat here where there's like a sort of like an area to kind of like put something here. This is, I think, originally the section for the controllers. So if you look here on the frame itself, I was thinking of actually putting the far driver, one of the far drivers, in this section over here, and then kind of have the seat right on top of it like that, just so it's kind of hidden. In terms of the second controller, thinking of possibly putting it over here on the back of the frame with the heatsink facing outwards. Big shout out also to Raspberry Rides, because we were kind of like talking about placement of the controller, so he came up with a good suggestion for that. Also, before I forget, I have this new taillight that I'm going to be installing on the back here. If you notice, we have the stock taillight, which isn't really that bright, and it has like limited functionality, so I'm going to be removing that and replacing it with this one, and it's going to be pretty much mounted right there. This one's pretty bright, also has signal indicators as well. Alright guys, so that's my little quick overview of pretty much a lot of the parts that I'm going to be using for this build. One other thing I forgot to mention, I do have panels from the original Roadrunner that I'm going to be installing over here, just to kind of give it a more sort of like covered look and like pretty much shielded from the outside elements. So I'm going to be installing them both on the left and right side. Yeah guys, so let's get started. Let's install the upgraded suspension on the rear and take it from there. So I actually ended up getting these new replacement bearings from Econic. This one goes on the top and the bottom, so to provide sort of like a better bearing feel. Because the old ones, if you could see, these are the old ones, and I'm not really a fan of like sort of the ball bearings here because they're very sensitive and can easily break. So decided to go with some nicer, more secure bearings. This has the bearing in the middle, very similar to like Escape bearings, but like a larger version of it. Alright guys, so that was pretty much just sort of the basic, I guess, base build for now with the V3. We're going to be doing more of the electronics and the wiring in part 2 of the tutorial. I had to split this up into 2 parts only because there's just so much involved. So this video is more of like an introductory to the parts and just overall installation of sort of the bigger components of the bike. But yeah guys, so this is the Kodo battery. So as you guys can see, it actually fits in the frame pretty well. I'm going to be adding some sort of like foam padding over here just to kind of like protect some of the edges here, just so it's not like fully against the frame, especially with vibrations and stuff like that. So fits well in the frame otherwise. Now in terms of far driver location, I was kind of like debating on where to actually put the far driver. So we have this location here. I was thinking about possibly mounting it over here. And remember, I have 2, so trying to figure out dual locations can be a bit of a headache. The other location, actually, I was thinking of was under the seat. It doesn't fully sort of flush down on the seat, but like if you push it down a little bit, this part, the back part, actually flushes down, but this part does not, because the frame kind of like does like concaves a little bit from here, so it gets a little bit narrow. So it's kind of sticking out like that, but this is another possible location. And the reason I say this I'm kind of okay with is because the seat actually has a section inside that's a little bit caved in, so you can actually kind of layer it on top of the controller if you wanted to. See here, not too bad. This kind of like seesaws a little bit, but once you have like the screws in, honestly this thing will kind of stay down put. It's going to be a little bit raised. I think when it's all said and done, this should be able to be flush on the frame. What I might actually do as well, I might actually like sand down part of this to sort of like widen it a little bit so that it is kind of like all the way down on the frame. As you can see, it doesn't look too bad. You know, I'll probably add some spacers in between here and just to kind of like make sure everything's secure in terms of the seat. Also the swing arm extension. One thing I wanted to note about the swing arm extension, your motor or your overall frame will sit a little bit low. So what I'm noticing too, as I was kind of rolling out the frame to take pictures, this area here is actually getting scraped. Like especially when you go over a curb or you hit like a speed bump, this thing will kind of catch and scrape, as well as this little tab over here. So what I'm thinking of doing is just cutting this off, you know, and cutting the other tab over there on the frame. You know, this is not really like an essential piece of this swing arm, so I'm gonna just get rid of it, because as you guys can see here, it kind of sits pretty low compared to where the original mounting point of the motor was. So it's gonna sit a little bit low, almost like, kind of reminds me of like those like lowered Civics or those like, you know, lowered cars. You know, they're like super like close to the pavement, because the way that this swing arm is designed, it kind of like goes up a little bit and then kind of straightens out, which kind of, you lose a little bit of height, which I'm kind of like a little bit bummed out about. I'm gonna try to see what I can possibly do in terms of maybe retrofitting it so that it's kind of like dipped down just a bit lower. Like if I'm able to drop it down like another inch, I think this thing would be perfect. So yeah, I'm kind of like messing around with that just to kind of see, you know, where we land on, you know, with the swing arm extension, because I really do want to use it It looks great on the bike, and it's pretty solid. You know, this thing is not moving at all. I do just wish that it was designed a bit more straighter to like the Fido extensions, where it's just kind of straight, you know. But overall, it's pretty nice. Comes with a good amount of mounting screws and stuff like that. So yeah. Well, we'll see what I do in terms of that. But yeah, guys, if y'all enjoyed today's content, be sure to give a like and comment, or even subscribe. And of course, if you guys have any questions at all about this build, feel free to let me know in the comments below. And yeah, I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. I try to answer everybody, you know, in terms of parts and, you know, walkthroughs and stuff like that. So definitely let me know. Oh, one thing I forgot to mention too, we're actually going to be putting back the panels, obviously, on the Roadrunner. So that's kind of what it looks like with the panel on. Obviously it's going to be covered on the other side as well. But yeah, big shout out to Canal Plastics for the panels. But yeah, guys, hope y'all enjoyed today's video, and I'll catch y'all on the next one. Peace.